We wound up, from the time that we had drawings of the space until the time we moved in, having 6 weeks. Any of you involved in construction ever? 6 weeks is impossible. It can never happen. It can never happen. We actually had at some point 7 different trades working simultaneously in this space. So there were people still working on drywall when they're putting, the glazing folks are here putting in glass and trim and tile and plumbing and everything else. So people were on top of each other. It was an amazing experience, but one of the most inspiring of my entire career, because we didn't have very much money. We had a little bit of money saved up for a move, but we knew that we had to really get some resources pulled in. So we started talking to our board and members, and what this represents is that for every square inch of space was a $100 contribution, either cash or in kind. So you see Swedish Medical Center here, roughly 10 inches by 10 inches. How much did they donate? $10,000, exactly. So we went to a very long-standing friend in Mary White, who's run Swedish Medical Center for many, many, many years, had been on the chamber board, really connected to us, and we said, we really need your help. Can you go to Health One and talk to them and see if they will make this contribution? And sure enough, they came forward with a $10,000 contribution. Ralph Schomp, a very historic member, how many tiles? 2 by 5? That's how much money? $1,000. A lot of that was just very straightforward. You call somebody up and say, we're moving, can you help us out? Can you write a check for $1,000? And $1,000 for a lot of the larger companies like that's a fairly quick hit, and they'll just do it. And then we have all kinds of folks that gave a couple $100, and then all these little individual ones that are $100. We wanted to make sure absolutely everybody that gave to this project was recognized in this one puzzle, because all these different pieces, some of them big, some of them small, all added up and wound up being one beautiful picture, which is buffalo grazing in front of the Rockies, in case you couldn't figure out what that was. We actually photoshopped a picture of buffalo grazing and then just warped it and turned it into this more abstract design. Now, the one thing I also wanted to point out is it wasn't all about cash. It was whatever people could bring to the table. So Peggy Powers, who is an interior designer, stepped forward and contributed 100% of her time to the project. She had done a lot of different things for the Daniels Fund and the Young Americans Bank. Just a really great designer. She was connected with us. We talked to her and said, we really are in need of somebody to do all this design work. So from carpeting to light fixtures to furniture, she was involved in selecting absolutely everything. She found carpeting, that carpeting you're standing on right there, was leftover from a massive hotel project, and it comes in squares so you can replace sections, and it was incredibly practical. And she brought it all to us, which was just the best. Fisher Architects, long-standing architectural firm in downtown Littleton. Dave Fisher, one of the partners. They go all the way back to the founding of the chamber as United Chamber back in the early 80s. And we went to Dave Fisher and said, can you do the architectural work? And he donated 100% of his time to this project. That's why he has a really big square. Hale Electric cut all of their electrical fees to us in half. First Data was a $10,000 gift. You begin to get the idea here that no matter who it was, if they were involved in this project, we weren't going to pay retail. But we were going to make sure that they owned this chamber center. And part of what got them excited about being a part of it was that this was going to be a place where the entire community could come, they could gather. You could see by the design of it, wide open, everything accessible. You can wander in as a member and walk right back to the president's desk and chat with him, as I know everyone does with John. They go back to the community center in the back. It was really meant to be more about the members and less about, we're going to have staff in tiny little offices where we're burrowed in and trying to do our thing. So as much for those of you who are on the staff of the chamber have cursed at me since you have joined this organization because of the design of the space, you're laughing, I know you do, in the last 10 years. Know that it was for a very clear purpose, because it's more about our members than it was about the staff. So I thought you might like to look at this with fresh eyes before it's taken down for good. But now you can look upon the new site with fresh eyes because it's a brand new beginning.